Now in the previous tutorial we saw basically how we can record a simple coded UI test and how we can go and play the same. But the problem with the coded UI test was that all the data is hard-coded in the coded UI test. In other words, whatever we have recorded while we actually created the coded UI test, the data has been hard-coded in the program. In other words, for example, let us go to this function here saying enter first number here, right? So if you go to this definition here, you can see over here, this function actually first clicks on the title bar. If you remember the recordings, what we've done in our previous session. Second, it sends the keyboard keys, and in the keyboard keys, you can see that it sends the number 1 because that's what the data we have recorded, while we were recording the coded UI test. So if you go to the definition here, you can see this value 1 hard coded over here. Now you don't want this, right? What you want is basically you should be able to manipulate, the data what is sent via the keyboards. How do we do that? Now whenever we record any action in coded UI test, there are two sections to it. One is the action itself and the other one is the recorded keys for those actions. For example, you can see here we have recorded, entered first number, entered operations, entered second number. So these are the actions, and for this action we have also sent some data, right, via the keyboard. So those data you can manipulate by the action names appended by the params keyword. So you can see, for example, I have the action as entered first number where actually I entered the first number. So if I want to go and change that value, I can use the entered first number params. In the same way, you can see that we have an action called as enter second number, and for enter second number I actually entered the second number, which I can go and manipulate by using the entered second number params. So what I'll do is I'll say that okay, let's go and change this enter first number params. So I'll say okay, I want to change this enter first number params, the keys what are sent, and I want to send the keys as let's say 100. So I want to send now data as 100. Let's keep the operations same, that is plus for now. Also I want to go and change the second number value. So again I'll say send keys, let's say 100, double quotes. Now because you have changed the input data, right, you also need to change the assertion. Okay, in other words, where you are doing the check test case, right, you also need to say okay, now 100 plus 100 is 200, so the expected value is 200. So again for that we have a param, so you have to say this dot UI map dot check test case. So expected values, I'm expecting here the value as 200. Right. Now, one thing which is noticeable here is that you can see there are two text boxes here. One is UI item text and the other one is UI item text 1. Okay. Must be that, when I did the recordings, actually I clicked 2 times for whatever reasons. So you can see there are 2 assertions here. So what I'll do is I'll just go and comment this first one because I really don't need it. Okay. So I'm using this UI item edit text 1 for assertion. Okay. Must be that when I record it, I hit 2 times the calculator text box, and that's why it put 2 assertions over there. Okay. So what we have done now is, basically we are now sending the first number as 100, the second number as 100, and the expected value we are expecting as 200. Okay. So let me go and build this. So I hope the build is successful. So there's my build, successful, right? Now let me go to my test here. Let's go to Windows Test View and let's run this test. Now the input should be 100, and the assertion should be 200. Okay. Right click and run the selection, leave your mouse. So now it will go and again start my calculator program from the start run, and this time it will not take those hard-coded values, but it should take 100. You can see that it's again taking 100 and it's expecting 200. It checks it and the test case should pass. Oh, there's an error there, you can see, and that is good that this error has come. Now if you see here, right, I'm saying that I'm expecting 200, but the calculator is not having just 200, it also has a dot sign. Can you see that? Right now that's that's something we need to watch out when you are actually checking applications. So basically it's not 200 but it is 200 dot. Can you see that dot here, right? So let's do a very simple hack here. Now I know that this is bad, so I'll say that I'm expecting also a dot. right? So I'll just build this again, and now let's go and run our test case. So let's again go to our test view, right click, leave your mouse, and this time we should expect that this test case should pass. So 100, there goes the 100, there goes the second number plus sign, and we hope that it is now, oh, again there is something failed. Oh, it is 200 dot and a space. Oh gosh, right? So the actual, you can see over here, the actual also is having a space here, and I don't have a space. Too many hacks there, sorry for this. Yeah, right, now that should pass. See, now something which is very application specific, right? You need to ensure that your assertions are also application specific, right? You can't do anything about it. Okay, so I'll just put a space here. Now let me go to my test view. Let me go and run the selection. So actually no, I did not compile the project, so it will first compile the project and then run it. So there goes my calculator, and I hope that this time actually it runs properly and it should show me green sign, right? So that is it passed, right? So now this is good, so we were able to set the values by using the action name appended with the params keyword. But now we want to go one step ahead. We still do not want to hard code like this. We want to actually go and feed this data from Excel sheet must be, right? So that would be a better option. So again, if you remember, right, in the unit testing thing, we actually we were able to give CSV files as well as databases as well as XML files, right? In the same way, the same kind of feature is also available in coded UI test. So what we'll do is, let's go ahead and create a simple CSV file here where we will put number 1, number 2, and the expected values. Okay, so let me just open the Excel sheet here. So we'll say this is num1, this is num2, and this is expected, right? So I'll just say, okay, if I put 100 and 100, I'm expecting it to be 200. If I put 20 and 20, I'm expecting total to be 40. If I put 30 and 30, I'm expecting it to be 60. Okay, must be, I'll put one more, 5 and 5, so expecting 10. And now we need to go and save this file as CSV, if you remember the way we did in our unit testing thing. So I'm going to go and save this as CSV, saying addition data, right? I'm saving this in my documents folder here, so I'll just copy this address. So I've created a nice CSV file here which actually goes and which actually has what you call data which we can pass to our coded UI test, right? So now in order to feed that CSV file to your coded UI test, go to your test view, right click, go to your properties, and you can see over here we have a property called as data connection string. Now from this step onwards, it is absolutely same as we did for unit testing. Okay, always remember that every test in VSTS will have this data connection property where you can go and feed the CSV file, or you can feed the XML file or the database tables, right? So I'll go and select CSV. I'll do a next. Let's go and take the addition data. So there it is, it has flourished the data, and let me do a finish. Now it says that I would like to copy this file to my solution. Do I want to copy this file to my solution? Yes, I want to copy that, so that whenever I take a backup of my solution, the file also gets backed up. So there's the addition data.csv, right? So if you now go to your coded UI test, you can see this data source attribute here, and you can also see the CSV file path. Now also we need to go and provide the column mappings to your params, right? So the first column of the Excel sheet, I'll say test context dot data row. So the first column of the Excel sheet should go to the first number, right? The second column of the Excel sheet, now please note that this is 0 indexed, okay, the test context data row. So in other words, your first column of the Excel sheet will be the 0th index of the data row. Okay, I'm going to say 1.toString here, and the same way I'll say here test context dot data row. The expected is third column. Now remember that, as we said previously, that the calculator UI, right, actually displays a dot with a space. So I'll just append this extra fitting over here, or I'll say extra hack over here, so that our test case passes. So that's it. So now if I build the solution, I hope everything will get built. So now what will happen is my calculator program will be now invoked 4 times, because if you remember, the Excel sheet has 4 data in that, and for each of those data in the Excel sheet, or in the CSV file I will say rather, it will go and run my test case, right? So let me go to my test view here, and now let me start running my test case. So right click, run selection. So it should first take the first data. The first data was probably 100 if I remember, and I should execute that. So you can see that's the first test case. Now it is taking up the second thing. So second thing was 20 plus 20, I think. So it should display 40. Yes. Now that's my third test case, you can see. So you can see, it's running one test case of the other test case. It's reading from the CSV file and it's feeding to my coded UI test. Now that's more dynamic and more better. So there goes my last test case, I think. 5 plus 5, 10. Right. So you can see that all my test cases have passed, right? All my 4 test cases. So if you remember our Excel sheet, just right. So if I just open my Excel sheet here, so we had 4 test cases, right? And you can see below in my taskbar, so this is my first test case for 100 plus 100, 200, that ran properly. This is my second test case, 20 plus 20, 40, that ran properly. This is my third test case, and this is my fourth test case. So you can see that basically how my coded UI test went ahead and he read the CSV file, and by using the data of those CSV file, it actually ran my coded UI test appropriately. But again, life is full of problems, and we have solved one problem, that is the dynamic data, how to pass dynamic data to the coded UI test. But as we were doing it, you can see that multiple instances of the calculator has been opened, and which is really not good, right? So in case if you have thousands of test cases running, I'm sure that you will soon go out of memory, right? So what we would like to do is that after he runs one test case, we would like to go and close the program, right? So in other words, once he runs the full test case for one data, he should actually go and close the calculator program. Now the bad news is that we have yet not recorded the close, right? So basically we went ahead and we recorded a lot of things, so we went ahead and recorded those actions, first number, second number, equal to, and checking, etc. But we have yet not recorded the close functionality or the close action for the calculator. So what's happening is, basically because there is no close action, it is going and spawning new exes or new instances for each of your test case. So now how do we go and record the close action and then ensure that the close action is called must be after the check test case here? So first let me go and close all the calculators. I'll just keep one instance running so that I can do the recordings for the close, right? Now in order to go and inject a new recording into your coded UI test1.cs, right click on the code here, and you can see something here called a generate coded UI test, by using the UI test builder. Now remember that basically I want to inject action of close here, right? So you need to click on that line where you want the action to be injected, right? So I'm going to right click here so that the action comes after the check test case is done. Okay, so in other words, after the assertion is done, we would like to go and close the UI. So right click here, generate coded code for coded UI test. Click on this menu, click on this use coded UI test builder, right? So there's our application running. Now it will go and spawn that the record and play button which we talked in our previous part of the video. So there's my recording UI opened. So I'll go and press record, start recording. Now I will go and click on the calculator UI here to ensure that this calculator UI is selected. So let me just click on this. So you can see now this blue button over here, the blue icon over here stating that you are now recording actions on this window. Now I'll go and hit this close here. pause this. Also I will just check if the actions are recorded properly. You can see that it's saying that no last mouse action was recorded, so that is bad, right? So let me just go and delete all this. Must be my PC is very slow. It's some of the recordings it is not taking. Just delete this. Let me go and run this calculator once again, and let me again go and click on record, click on the calculator, click on the close, pause it. Now I can see that basically it clicks on the title bar and then it clicks on the close button, so that is good. So let me just go and generate code for this. Close calculator and add and generate code. So now what should happen is, after the check is done of the test case, right, of the coded UI test, I should find one more function here called as close calculator, and you can see over here that once all the actions have been invoked, there's one extra recording which has been injected now called as this.uimap.close calculator. Now what will happen is, now if I go and run my test case, I will not find multiple instances of calculator running, right? So let me just go and close this coded UI test builder. Let me go and build this, and now let me go to my test view, and again let me go and fire my calculator program. And this time what I'm expecting is that multiple instances of the calculator should not be running. So I run it. Now what I expect him is that I expect that after every test run this calculator program should close, so I should not see multiple instances. So there goes my first reading, and you can see that he has pressed the close button. There goes my second test run, the second test data, and you see that close button getting clicked. Good. So you can see basically now after every test data which it is firing, it is ensuring that the calculator instance is getting closed. And you can see down below in my taskbar, you can see that there is no calculator program now running. So basically every test case or every test data which is fired, for that all the calculator instances are closed. So you can see all the test cases have passed, and you can see down below there is no calculator instance which is running for now, and this is good. So in other words, if you want to go later and insert the action, right click on the section where you want to insert the action, click on generate code for coded UI test, and then click on use coded UI test builder, and then go ahead and record that action. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. In this video we saw that how we can make our coded UI test dynamic, and second, how we can go and inject actions later on, or how we can go and update the coded UI test with new actions later on if you wish. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. In the next video we will see more details into coded UI test. Now if you see over here, right, these are all simple scenarios, right? But what if you have a scenario where your functions are asynchronous? In other words, let's say for some reason this press equal to was an asynchronous function. In other words, you fire the press equal to, but it is an asynchronous mode. The function actually gets called asynchronously. So what happens is your code will go ahead and check the test case, and the program is still calculating the values. So how do we go and handle coded UI test for scenarios where we have applications which are asynchronous? So in the next video we will see that how we can do coded UI test for asynchronous programs.